Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and I'm sorry that I might be a little bit late to the party about the black market, but I couldn't help it. I went away for pretty much the first time in a year while I was away from my computer, and bam, Wargaming decided to release the black market. Yeah, well I was in the middle of France, and so I couldn't manage to feature any content about it. But, well, it's all done and dusted now. I always wanted to know just what did the World of Tanks community think about the black market, and I have to admit, on the World of Tanks Reddit website, or should I say the Reddit World of Tanks subreddit, there's actually an awesome mega thread which I've been reading through just to see what people have come up with trying to describe their feelings towards the black market. So before we take a look at how the community reviewed the black market, I just want to pitch in with my own opinion on the different deals that came out. So firstly, let's talk about the Lance & Sea and how it was available on day one for 8.5 million credits. You know what? I like this tier 8 premium medium tank. It's got good alpha, it's got pretty good gun handling. For such a large caliber gun, combine that with decent gun depression. You know what? I think this is probably one of the better deals in the black market. Funnily enough, it was also one of the first deals, so I think a lot of people thought, oh wow, the Lanson's 8.5 million credits? Oh, well maybe I should actually keep some of my credits for later on because possibly there's going to be an even better or rarer deal, right? Yeah, as we're going to see, that probably wasn't quite the case. The following morning at 4 AM UK time, they released the AMX 1357 Grand Finals Edition. Grand Finals meaning for Wargaming's now defunct Wargaming League eSport version of the game, and this is a pretty snazzy light tank. I think for the price of 7,000 gold, I think this was actually a pretty good pickup if you didn't have the MX 1357 already. It's not going to be the most overpowered tank you're going to be able to get your hands on, but a decent pickup for 7,000 gold. So far, black market looking pretty good. Next up was the Chrysler Grand Finals Edition, starting in the first ever bid version of the black market, which was 3 million credits. And the Chrysler is a decent enough vehicle if you're willing to spam gold, as the standard penetration on this tank is an abysmal 198, and you really do have to pump those gold rounds to be able to be effective in it inside a mediocre matchup. But again, a solid vehicle would never claim it's the best. It is a decent side scraper, however, and the lack of its frontal weak point, which ended up with all of that quite rightly so drama all those years ago, means that it is a solid tank and forever branded with the WargamingLeague.net 3D model on the front of the vehicle. So Wargaming's new bidding system for this vehicle meant that you could basically bid as many credits as you wanted, and then all of the top bids would get it. But it didn't lower your bidding price. So if you bid 100 million credits, well, you're definitely going to get the vehicle, but you would end up paying 100 million credits for this tank. Apparently, on the North American server, 3.5 million credits was enough to be able to pick up the vehicle, and that's a great deal. Way better deal than the Lanson, for example. And so, if they do these future black market events, don't think just because the base price is 3 million that you have to go that much higher, especially for one of the more unpopular vehicles, as you might be able to pick up something that's an absolute steal. All right, next up, day 4, or shall I say deal 4, which was effectively on day 2, was an absolute joke. They sold the Leffe for 300 gold. They sold one of the most toxic tanks they have ever sold in the game. A tank so toxic that they effectively just left the armor piercing and the heat rounds on this vehicle, even though they removed them on all of the other artillery. The Leffe is an absolute horror of a vehicle to meet, and its tier 5 matchmaking means that it usually preys on all of the lower tier tanks inside the game. The fact that they inject vehicles like this into the matchmaker at such a ridiculously low price was a great steal for all of the tank collectors out there. But good lord, every time you sell a tank like this, you are literally making your game worse, Wargaming. I mean, you've admitted it yourself that vehicles like this are toxic for the game and they shouldn't really exist. That's why you removed heat rounds and armor piercing rounds from all of the artillery out there, at least in the form of damage that these rounds deal at tier 5. So to put all of these back into the matchmaker, I just hope that they were picked up by collectors who are probably not artillery mains, but for every player out there who is a collector who isn't an artillery main, there might be an artillery main who will go and play hundreds if not thousands of games in this tank, literally just stopping all of the low tier players from growing up inside the game. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk about the most controversial deal inside the black market. And that is that they sold an SU-76I for 15,000 gold. Now, that is a very high price tag. The SU-76I is one of the rarest premium tanks inside the game. It was actually sold, I believe, for only 12 hours on the European server because Wargaming marketed it as a deal, and then I think they realized, holy moly, this tank is completely toxic for low-tier matchmaking. It's incredibly powerful. And so they pulled it from the store because it was just too darn good. And literally, this was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I should imagine now, and to this date, they have never made this tank available in the game since. The SU-76I has a great 76mm at tier 3 with okay alpha and penetration. The DPM is good, but it's really the armor of the tank that's great. Tier 3, 60mm of armor. It's kind of like a Panzer IIJ, just without a bad gun that doesn't need to fire gold. This thing is absolutely ludicrous, and again, putting this tank available for 15,000 gold definitely makes low-tier matchmaking worse. But this isn't really the problem that I had with them selling the SU-76I. My main problem is that on the European server at least, they didn't actually sell the SU-76I. They sold a tier 4 Chinese standard tech tree tank, the SU-76GFT. Yeah, that's right. Someone at Wargaming completely screwed up. And so what this actually meant is that when I logged in, and this is one of the only tanks that I actually don't have, and it's the only one that I really probably wanted to pick up in the black market unless they were releasing a new tank. And so what that meant is that when I logged in, it said, you already have this item. And so I wasn't able to purchase the tank. Looking confused, there wasn't enough time to be able to go and sell the SU-76G, a tier 4 regular tank destroyer, to be able to then buy one of the rarest tier 3 tanks, premium tanks in the game ever. And so, if you were a tank collector, if you were the kind of player like me who had every single tank in the game, and then you wanted to be able to purchase the SU-76I, you couldn't, because you were prevented to because of Wargaming's error. And as the vehicle was so rare, it sold out in a matter of seconds, even at 15,000 gold. So Wargaming screwed up. They screwed over all of the tank collectors out there, and I'm one of them, and I haven't heard anything from them, even though I've been repeatedly asking them over the last week as to how they're going to correct this error. And look, while I know this is the black market and anything goes, the idea that Wargaming, through a mistake of their own, would then mess up all of the tank collectors out there to be able to not purchase the SU-76I is absolutely ridiculous. I was getting up at 4 a.m., but before 4 a.m. every single day, and being there at 4 p.m. in the afternoon as well, UK time, specifically to be able to get a tank like this. And to not be able to get it through no fault of my own is an absolute kick in the face. Wargaming, do something about it. And not just for me, for all of the people out there who couldn't pick up this tank through your fault. You owe it to us, your most dedicated tank collectors, to be able to fix this issue. So next up was a Carnarvon Action 10 at 5,000 gold. That's a great tier 8 premium tank, and I think it was one for pretty much that level. Interestingly enough, all of Wargaming's bid prices kind of were at the low end, apart from a couple which we're talking about in a minute. So, deal 7 was the FV215B183. You know, the Hesh dealing monster that Wargaming look like they're planning to want to nerf if they want to put up their new balance changes for 22 million credits. That's hilarious, because back in the day, all of the original players playing from patch 8.0 until when they replaced it with the FV4005 were able to pick it up for 6 million credits. That's a pretty good inflated price, right? And do I think that the tank is worth 22 million credits? Oh, I don't know. If I didn't have a lot of time on my hands, I'd probably rather buy 3 or 4 other tier 10 tanks. But I guess for all of the collectors out there, you know, it's your opportunity to purchase something that time has forgotten. We'll just have to see whether it's going to be nerfed next patch. All right, next up, they sold the Type 59 Gold again. And this one was an interesting one because they started it as a bid at 20,000 gold. But the Type 59 Gold actually ended up going for a way higher price. On the European server, this ultra rare and very sought after premium tank that has only been sold once before in last year's black market actually ended up going for, I think it was 41,000 gold. And how much does it even cost to get 41,000 gold? I don't even know. Okay, apparently that's 115 pounds. People were paying 115 pounds to be able to get effectively a tank which just has a slightly different skin and has exactly the same economy as the Type 59, one of the more popular premium tanks in the game, but also one of the more sought after vehicles. It just baffles me, the idea that people will pay 115 pounds for a tank which is pretty much just already been in the game for such a long time. But, you know, that's the price. All right, next up they sold the Micro Mouse, aka the Panzerkampfwagen 38H 735 F. Wow, that's a bit of a tongue twister, a bit of a mouthful, right? 9,500 gold for this tank. Again, it's a vehicle that makes the game worse at tier 2, but yeah, whatever. I can understand why people would want to have them. Was it worth 10,000 gold, the price of a full-blooded tier 8 premium tank? Probably not. I think you're going to get very bored at low tiers if you're an experienced player, but people will want to spend 30, 40 euros to have something just inside their garage to collect anyway. I can't stop them. Next up was the Schwarzpanzer Panther. Sorry, did I add an extra Panther in there? No, it's just the Schwarzpanzer. Yeah, 58. 3 million credit starting bid. And apparently on the North American server, it went for as low as 4.2 million credits. Again, this vehicle, the Mutz, it's a great all-round tier 8 premium tank. You really can't go wrong with it. Now, for that price, it's a great deal. It's almost too good of a deal when I think about it. I'm not sure if Wargaming are going to be very happy that I think they were expecting a lot of their bids to go significantly higher, because selling tier 8 premium tanks for 4 million credits is a great opportunity for a free-to-play player. Next up was something that was quite interesting, and that was that Wargaming actually sold campaign order forms for 1,500 gold. You got 3 of them, and that is for the first campaign, i.e. the one that gets the T55A, the Object 260, and so I'm of a split opinion about this. I think it's good because for some people who have been stuck on it for, I guess, 5-6 years now, it's a good opportunity to be able to catch up, or maybe just skip one of the ones that's really causing you a lot of issues, or maybe you can just avoid playing artillery altogether. On the other hand, I feel as if they should be exclusive tanks. You should have to achieve a certain level to be able to pick the vehicle up. But I really couldn't care. I didn't buy them on my free-to-play account. It'd be an absolute ludicrous price to spend 1,500 gold on something that I could just play to be able to get. But I know a lot of people probably purchase them just to be able to unlock the T28 concept or the T55A, or even to be able to get the 260, so congrats to them for that. Next up was something that was absolutely hilarious, and that was that Wargaming sold a special skin, a style, for the Object 261, the Tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer. The style was called Delicate Matter. And this was actually the only brand new content inside this year's black market. All of the other vehicles have been sold before, and while you could argue the Su-76I and the Type 59 Gold are very rare vehicles, they've been available in the game before. So the only new content was this skin for a Tier 10 artillery. And really, it's a fairly low budget skin. They've just kind of put some camo on the barrel, and they've put some bushes, some spruce trees by the looks of it, all over the vehicle. Rather underwhelming. And it started, I guess, as a bit of a joke, and I thought it was quite a funny one. 261 was the minimum gold bid. Now, as this was the only thing for me that was actually new inside the black market, I bid 2,500 gold. Apparently, I paid 10 times too much, because some people were telling me that they bidded 261 gold and they got it for that price. So, oh wow. Sucks to be me. I paid 10 times over the odds for a skin, but I just couldn't sit there. The fact that I've been getting up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. while I was in France every single day, and being there at 5 p.m. every single day just to be able to try and get something new. When something finally came there, I felt like I wanted to secure it. It was really sad. So there was loads of hype towards the last part of the black market. Everybody was expecting there was going to be something really good, maybe something brand new. And then wham bam, Wargaming releases the wheeled vehicles, the Panhard EBR F10 for 10,000 gold. Look, this is a great vehicle. It's probably one of the best for frontline. For 10,000 gold, I think that's actually probably a pretty good price if you've got a lot of surplus gold left over from your loot box gambling over Christmas. Because I guess the only way that you've been able to purchase this tank before was either when it was in a mission marathon, and probably a lot of people didn't realize how good the wheeled vehicles were going to be back then, or when they've just sold it for cold hard cash inside their premium store. And they ended up going on the European server, I believe, for 12,000 gold. I still think that's a fairly good price for what is one of, if not the most overpowered tier 8 premium light tanks. All right, so now, finally, the big finale! Wargaming's big hurrah for the send-off of the black market. Guess what they sold? Yeah, they sold a tier 3 Soviet light tank, the BTSV, which has been in the game so many times before, although it is a cool looking tank, for 10 million credits. Yeah, that's right. 10 million credits to be able to get a BTSV. And while this is the tank that wears its sunglasses at night and does look rather snazzy, was it worth 10 million credits? Not really. The bids didn't go that much higher than 10 million. And I wouldn't actually be surprised if not all of them got sold. And so the community response to this as being the final hurrah, when there were lots of rumors going around, Wargaming are going to release the golden Waffenträger auf V100. Oh, maybe it'll be a new Soviet heavy tank at tier 9. People were thinking it was going to be the Object 777. Yeah, no. Only one brand new piece of new content inside this year's black market, and it was a skin for an artillery. It was a big fail, boys and girls. And so the community response has been absolutely outrageous. People are fuming. But one of my favorite things about going on WOT Reddit are, of course, the memes that people have been creating. So I thought I'd just review a few of them. So, black market ended yesterday. Forgot to turn off my morning alarm. Yeah. Having a bit of PTSD just thinking about it. Just having to get up at that 3:55 alarm in the morning and then go, quickly turn on the computer, turn on World of Tanks, go sit there, wait, and then be disappointed and go back to bed. That's life. The black market is always fun. 6 million credits for a tier 8 is okay. Hooray, I got the BTSV for 18 million credits, and I only paid 50,000 gold for the Type 59. Send in the clowns, boys and girls. 50,000 gold. The min price was £115, $150 to get a tank that's already kind of in the game. All right, what's this? Oh, the BTSV auction. 10 million credits cost to get a vehicle that you're probably going to get very bored of playing after about 3 or 5 games. Okay. Getting up at 5 a.m. for a good final black market offer BTSV out of nowhere. Yeah, so what's this? So this is somebody who's actually posted a ticket to Wargaming saying that something has gone missing from their account. On the 12th of February, 2020 at 6 a.m. What is missing? Sleep. I got up at 6 a.m. for the past week to try and get some sweet black market deals. Unfortunately, the sleep that I lost was way more valuable than anything of those black market offers. I'd like missing sleep time for my refund, please. These are some of the worst trade deals in the history of trade deals. Yeah, okay. Whoa, this is worthless. That's your 10 million credit vehicle. Is this one me after the black market? Fantastic. This was a huge waste of time. Maybe, possibly. Wargaming deciding to swerve towards the worthless tanks and arty skins compared to the great deals like last year's black market. I'm not sure if that's entirely fair. I think there were still some really good deals in this year's black market, but I will also admit that this one was very underwhelming. And yeah, what black market 2019 was back? I don't think I'll ever get bored of Filthy Frank, but this is probably the biggest meme in itself. And that is, this is Wargaming's official Russian World of Tanks channel, Tavarish. And yeah, I think you can see that the Russian community is just as unhappy with the black market as the European and the American community is. 12,000 likes, 50,000 dislikes. And I can tell you that those 12,000 likes were pretty much before the black market happened. People are very agitated about how Wargaming have turned something that was so great, the original black market, and so exciting, into something which is now that they just feel, why are you giving us the same stuff? Why are you giving us the same stuff at an inflated price? But I guess we got to speak with our wallets, right? Still, that's a pretty damning feedback ratio. And finally, yeah, Object 261 style, when your disappointment is visible. These are all a little bit too close to home, to be honest with you. I have to admit, I feel like an absolute mug. I feel like I got up for pretty much nothing in the middle of the night. All I got was an Object 261 skin, which I paid 10 times more than lots of other players paid for it. And the only tank that I actually wanted, aka the Su-76I, I got screwed over by Wargaming because I couldn't even purchase it because I had the tier 4 tech tree tank. From my perspective, the black market was an absolute mega fail, although I can understand that quite a few people still managed to get a few good deals here or there. Hopefully Wargaming will learn from this. They're going to have to do something to address that incredible negative feedback from the Russian community. And hopefully we'll see it come back bigger, better, and fairer either this year or possibly even next year. If there's one thing I'd like to finish at, Wargaming, please, if there's any kind of feedback I'd like to give you, make the morning slots bids only. I know that the black market doesn't want to have any rules, and that's one of the cool things about the black market, but please allow us to stop getting up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, wrecking our sleep schedule for the week, and just make it bids. All of the morning slots, bids. All of the afternoon slots, well, I guess you can probably make time to be able to get back by then. And also, if anyone out there from the European office is watching, when are we going to get an SU-76I compensation? Because one of you has managed to screw up completely. Anyway, that's it for me today and the black market. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments what you thought about the black market this year. Did you absolutely love it? Did you absolutely hate it? Do you think Wargaming absolutely hit the mark? Do you think they absolutely missed the mark? And what would you like to see them change in the black market in the future? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.